Now it's time for one of my favorite types, the Dark type, this time in Ultra Moon. There are 29 different Dark type evolution lines to choose from. Some are better than others, and one, and only one, is Perfection. Okay, that's just me loving evolutions, but I do love a lot of these mons, and I feel like this challenge is going to be a lot of fun. Normally Hala seems like he'd be a tough fight, but we have access to Murkrow and Volibee, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. The issue will be Araquanid and the Ribombee totems, and of course the always scary Ultra Necrozma. We also have access to Alolan Grimer early as well if we get the right encounters. A personal favorite of mine, which I feel like will be a huge help. Let's get into what a hardcore Nuzlocke is. It has all the standard rules, can only catch one Pokemon per route. If a Pokemon faints, it dies, it can no longer be used in battle and must be boxed or released. If you wipe, the game is over. The hardcore Nuzlocke rules are: no overleveling, each boss's ace is the level cap, no items in battle, held items are fine, and set mode. Before we start the run, please give this video a like, subscribe, share if you want, and with that all out of the way, let's do this. For our starter, we're choosing Litten because eventually it will become an Incineroar. A Pokemon that is totally balanced and not completely littering all over the competitive scene and taking championships left and right and causing some players to develop PTSD and have mental breakdowns and causing one player to make an entire video on why they hate it. Anyway, we name our Litten Wolf Click. On the outskirts of Route 1, we catch an Inkay we name Antha, and if you can't understand why I named it this, then we can't be friends. On Route 1, we catch a Rattata that we name Mainskin for obvious reasons. Then at the trainer school, I catch Yusuke the Zorora, named after one of the best characters of Persona 5. Then in Howley City, we catch a Grimer I call Flintwater. If you know, you know, and if you don't, look it up. So now it's time for the battle with Captain Ilima. He leads with Yungoos as we lead with Antha. He hits with a weak Pursuit as we set up Reflect. He then uses Leer, which actually raises our defense thanks to Contrary. Then we hit a critical hit Foul Play that nearly takes out Yungoos. Then Ilima heals with a potion as we bring Yungoos back to the red again with another Foul Play. Yungoos then hits a weak tackle and another Foul Play takes it out. Last is Smeargle. Water Gun brings Antha down to nearly half as Foul Play takes about 60% from Smeargle, then our Reflect wears off. Tackle brings Antha to 12 health and we heal it back up with an Oran Berry and take out Smeargle with another Foul Play. On Route 2, we catch a Alolan Meowth I named Lucy after my cat, who is adorable. What isn't adorable is its evolution, Alolan Persian, which we get immediately thanks to Alolan Meowth evolving by friendship. Look at that face. A face only a mother could love, but even she's questioning herself. In the cemetery, we catch Murkrow and again name Al Capone. That is just too good of a nickname not to use. Now it's time for the fight with Totem Alolan Raticate, and this was rough. We lead with Antha to try to get a Reflect off, but a bite from Raticate gets the flinch, and then it calls in its little partner Rattata. Raticate bites again, getting Antha under half as we heal with an Oran Berry, then gets hit by a Pursuit from Rattata, then gets flinched again. Raticate then bites, bringing us to 9 health as Pursuit from Rattata brings us to 2 health as we finally get a Reflect up. I thought Antha was destined to go down as we switched to Persian because of Pursuit, but Rattata just uses Quick Attack instead when Persian comes in, saving Antha's life. We fake out the Rattata for big damage thanks to Technician as Raticate goes for Scary Face. Raticate is then able to connect with 3 Fury Swipes to drop us under half to make Persian eat its Citrus Berry. Then Swift takes out Rattata. Raticate then crits a bite as I try to growl to lower its attack and gets flinched. Then Raticate is able to connect with 4 Fairy Swipes to take down Lucy, our first death of the run. I'm not too sad about it, but RNG is totally screwing me in this fight. We bring out Flintwater and Raticate hits a Super Feint to halve our health as we try to poison it with Poison Gas, but then it just gets healed by a Pecha Berry. Oops, kinda forgot it had that. We then get flinched by Bite again. That's 4 out of 5 bites that have flinched, by the way. Then Raticate misses Fury Swipe as we miss our Poison Gas. Oh, come on! On the next turn, Bite finally doesn't flinch and we're able to poison the damn rat with Poison Gas. We then switch in Yusuke disguised as Al Capone as Fury Swipes breaks the illusion and does half health. We then switch to Mainskin as he gets hit by a resisted bite for a chunk of damage. Quick Attack does a bit of damage as another bite brings Mainskin to about a third of his health. We then switch to Al Capone on a resisted bite, and on the next turn he's able to take down the dumb rat with a peck, finally winning us the fight. To fill the void of Lucy, we catch Guzma the Volibee, who with Al Capone will be integral for the upcoming Hala fight. Speaking of the Hala fight, it's time to face him. He leads with Machop and we lead with Guzma, who knows Nasty Plot. We outspeed and go for a Nasty Plot as Revenge gets a high roll for a chunk of damage. We get off another Nasty Plot as Revenge gets us to 25 health as we heal with Citrus Berry. We go for our last Nasty Plot as Revenge gets us to 21 health. Then Gus takes out Machop in one hit. Out next is Makuhita, who hits us with a soft fake out. Then Gus takes it out as well. Last is Crabrawler, and I forgot Crabrawler has a slightly higher speed stat than Yzma, and he takes her down with an overkilling all-out pummeling. Rest well, little bird. I bring out Al Capone, who hits a strong wing attack that does over half as power-up punch from Crabrawler does a chunk of damage, and Al Capone takes down Makuhita on the next wing attack. Sucks to lose Yzma. I'd have rather have lost main skin the Rattata, but my poor knowledge cost me. In 10 Carat Hill, we catch a Sableye from an SOS battle with a Carbink, which is funny because it actually helps me take down the Carbink. Which I found kind of funny, cause it's like Seviper and Zongoose when you fight them in hordes. We name her Gemini. By Mantine surfing over to Akala Island, we can go to Route 4 where we can catch Midnight the Eevee, who we force friendship evolve into Umbreon. It's time for the Araquanid trial, and this is a tough one. I lead with Midnight to get a Baby Doll Eyes as Araquanid goes for Leech Life that crits and then calls Dewpider. A bubble from Araquanid brings us to 29 health, triggering Midnight's Citrus Berry, then he hits Araquanid with a Sand Attack to lower its accuracy, and then takes a Bug Bite from Dewpider. I then switch to Flint Water as Bubble from Araquanid and Bug Bite from Dewpider are too much for it to stay in. I switch to Gemini, planning to sack her as she gets hit from Bubbles from Araquanid and Dewpider that does over a half and she eats her Citrus Berry. I Shadow Sneak to do a bit of chip damage as Bubbles from the Spider Duel is enough to take down Gemini, which sucks because we no longer have a fighting immune Mon. I send out Al Capone, who outspeeds, and thanks to the chip damage from Gemini, Supersonic Sky Strike is a guaranteed kill. And on the next turn, Wing Attack takes down Dewpider, winning us the totem battle at the cost of Gemini. RIP, buddy. We evolved main skin into Raticate, who will unfortunately meet his fate soon. But first we have to face the fire trial, and this one is especially scary since Marowak has a thick club and his partner is Salazzle. We lead with Al Capone, and as predicted, Marowak uses Detect, so we use Haze to get rid of its speed increases. Then Marowak calls Salazzle, which can be a nuisance. We then switch to main skin to sacrifice him. He got us through the trainer battles and the Marowaks, but that was his only role for this trial. After a Flame Wheel, he goes down. Then we bring in Flint Water, who now has Poison Touch thanks to an ability capsule. Salazzle goes for Torment, which is fine. Then Marowak goes for a Flame Wheel that does just over a half, activating the held Citrus Berry, and then Flint uses Thief to steal away the Thick Club from Marowak, dealing good damage and getting the poison. Stay away from Flint Water, everyone. It's not good for your health. I go for Minimize, which is stupid because I get nailed with a Flame Burst from Salazzle and Flame Wheel from Marowak. We switch to Midnight, who takes little damage from Venoshock and Flame Wheel. I forgot to put a Citrus Berry on Midnight as I go for a Baby Doll Eyes to drop Marowak's attack further as Salazzle goes for Torment and Marowak hits a weak Brick Break. Then on the next turn, Salazzle hits a decent Flame Burst as we go for Rain Dance and Marowak goes for a Brick Break. We then switch to Onda as a Venoshock does almost half and Brick Break activates our held Citrus Berry, then Marowak succumbs to the poison. We risk a crit, but we luck out as Venoshock brings Onda to the red and we hit Hypnosis. This guarantees a safe switch to Al Capone. Salazzle stays asleep as we take it out with a Supersonic Sky Strike, and that's 3 totems that Al Capone has finished off. Next up is the Lurantis totem fight, and this wasn't very difficult, just very slow. Doing the play-by-play for this would take forever, and I'm kinda lazy, so let's just make this short. We lead with Al Capone, and Lurantis hits a decent X-Scissor as Al Capone hits a hard Supersonic Sky Strike. This baits Lurantis calling out Comfey, and this is exactly what we wanted. I bring in Flint Water as Lurantis heals with Synthesis, and then Comfey fully heals Lurantis with Floral Healing. What you're seeing here is a mixture of Protect and Minimize as Comfey is raising Lurantis' defense with Flower Shield, as Lurantis tries to hit us with X-Scissor, and once Comfey sets up the sun, it starts going for Solar Blade. What's funny is that Comfey never once went for Magical Leaf, which can't miss. I'm guessing Comfey saw how much damage it would do and went, nah. Eventually, Flint Water badly poisons Comfey with Poison Fang and eventually takes it out, which brings in Kecleon. We protect and Kecleon sets up the sun. Lurantis then hits X-Scissor as Kecleon thankfully misses Screech. Flint Water hits Kecleon with a Poison Fang that thankfully badly poisons. And after a couple of turns, it falls to the poison damage. Now it's just Lurantis and Flint Water. What you're seeing now is a long back and forth between the two. We eventually poison Lurantis with Poison Touch. Lurantis keeps healing with Synthesis, but eventually it runs out of them and falls to the poison damage, winning us the fight. In Diglett Cave, we catch Larvitar we name Godzilla. It'll be some time before we can actually use him though. It's time for the Kahuna battle against Olivia, and it's a long one. She sends out Anorith and we send out Flint Water. It goes for Bug Bite as we minimize. We protect on the next turn to get some HP back with leftovers. Anorith Bug Bites again, bringing Flint Water under half as we minimize again. Anorith's next bug bite misses as we minimize for the last time. Anorith then crits a bug bite to bring Flint Water into the red as we badly poison it with Poison Fang. After protecting to stall some toxic damage, we switch to Midnight, who takes decent damage from bug bite. We protect to rack up more poison damage, then Olivia heals Anorith with a super potion as we use Babel Doll Eyes. We stall with protect and toxic damage brings Anorith to about 3/4 health. We hit another Baby Doll Eyes as Bug Bite does little damage as Anorith succumbs to the toxic damage. Out next is Lily, and we protect against Giga Drain to restore a bit of HP. Pursuit does little damage as Giga Drain nearly cancels out the damage. We switch to Anda, who gets hit by a Giga Drain for a third of its health. We miss Hypnosis as Giga Drain brings Anda to a third of its health. We switch to Al Capone on the Giga Drain that does little damage. We then stall out the Ancient Powers until it gets an Omni Boost on the very last one. We roost and Brian nearly gets us back to the same health, then we haste to get rid of the Omni Boost as Giga Drain does little damage. We roost and Giga Drain puts us back right where we were. Wing Attack does a bit of damage as Giga Drain gets Al Capone to about half. Our next Wing Attack crits, bringing Lily Leap to a third of its health as Giga Drain gets Al Capone under to about a third of its health. Brian would kill from here, so we roost back up to lessen the damage. Another Wing Attack gets Lily close to the red as Giga Drain puts Wing Attack out of range to kill, so we roost back up to dodge an extra Brian damage. We then switch to Midnight, who takes nothing from Brian as Leftovers nearly cancels out the damage. We protect, then hit Lily with another Pursuit, bringing it to the red. And after another protect, we take out Lily with another Pursuit. Last out is her Lycanroc, and expecting a Continental Crush, I protect for her only to use Bite. We then take the time to Baby Doll Eyes Lycanroc down to -6 attack. Was this necessary? No, but I was afraid of a crit from a Continental Crush at any moment. Then after a few pursuits, we take down Lycanroc, defeating Olivia, and that's 2 Kahunas down. On the next island, we evolve Inkay into Malamar and Zora into Zoroark. On Route 10, we catch a Pancham we name Po, who immediately can evolve into Pangoro at level 32, below the level cap where it learns Bullet Punch. Finally got a team of 6 again. It's time for the Togedemaru trial. It starts with a +2 in defense, which we can reverse with Topsy-Turvy from Anda after taking a Zing Zap. And then he calls in Skarmory. Togedemaru then Spiky Shields as we set up Reflect and Skarmory sets up Stealth Rock. We switch to Po as he's hit with a critical hit Zing Zap and Skarmory sets up Tailwind. We try to go for a Vital Throw, but Togedemaru just goes for a bounce as Skarmory hits Po with a Torment, meaning we can't use Vital Throw on the next turn, so we switch to Midnight on the bounce, which he easily takes and doesn't get paralyzed, and Steel Wing does little damage from Skarmory. From here we do our best to bring Togedemaru down to -6 attack. After we do, we switch to Flint Water on a Spiky Shield and take damage from Stealth Rock and Steel Wing. We then protect to gain back a bit of HP, then Togedemaru uses Spiky Shield and Skarmory hits Flint Water with a Steel Wing for decent damage as we get off a Minimize. A couple of turns later, Togedemaru Spiky Shields again as Skarmory misses its Steel Wing and we get off another Minimize. A couple turns again and Togedemaru hits an Iron Head and Skarmory gets off a Torment and then we flinch. We avoid the next Iron Head as Skarmory sets up another Tailwind and we set up another Minimize. A couple of turns later, Togedemaru hits an Iron Head as Skarmory fails to use Torment and we flinch again. We dodge the next Iron Head and we hit Crunch to bring Togedemaru down to a quarter of its health and it eats its Citrus Berry. A couple of turns later, we dodge a Bounce and take Togedemaru out with one final Crunch. We switch to Anda and take Stealth Rock damage, then use Topsy-Turvy to reverse all Skarmory's defense increases. 4, by the way. And a couple of turns later, we take it out with Foul Play, winning us the battle and completing the trial. Next is the battle with Guzma, and this took some meticulous planning. I lead with Midnight and protect on his incoming first impression from Golisopod. Then I take time stalling out Golisopod's Sucker Punches and Razor Shells and getting it down to -6 attack. On the last Razor Shell, we switch to Flint Water, who barely takes damage and gets a defense drop, but that doesn't matter because the only move Golisopod can now use is First Impression. We're free to set up Minimizes in its face, and after getting to +6, we hit a critical hit Poison Fang, activating its emergency exit and bringing out Masquerain. We protect on the first Bug Buzz, then dodge the next one and hit a Poison Fang that unfortunately doesn't get the poison either. We protect again and then dodge another Bug Buzz as we badly poison it with Poison Fang. We protect to stall out some poison damage, then we get rocked with a nasty Bug Buzz as Poison Fang brings Masquerain to about a fifth of its health, as poison almost finishes it off. We protect on the next turn and Masquerain then goes down. Golisopod is back out now and will kill with the First Impression, so we switch to Pangoro, who is neutral and can tank it. We switch back to Flint Water and we poison Golisopod with Poison Fang, and then a couple of turns later he goes down and we win the first battle with Guzma. We then catch Fortune the Absol in the Tapu village. Next is the dreaded Mimikyu trial, and this had a lot of planning put into it, but I feel like I have a solid plan. Mimikyu starts the battle with an Omni boost, and we hit Baby Doll Eyes to bring Mimikyu back to neutral attack as it hits a decent play rough. Then Mimikyu calls out its first ally, Bayonet. Because Curse can hit through Protect, I decided to go for another Baby Doll Eyes to bring Mimikyu's attack down to a -1. Play rough still does decent damage, and then Bayonet goes for what I was hoping it was going to do and hits Will-O-Wisp, burning Midnight. But because of our synchronized ability, Bayonet also gets burned, neutering it. We protect on the next turn to see if Bayonet would curse, but it doesn't, going for Screech instead. We switch to Flint Water, who easily tanks a play rough and gets tickled by Feint Attack. We then protect to gain some HP back, and on the next turn, play rough does a bit of damage and drops our attack. Bayonet thankfully misses a Screech, and even at -1 crunches enough to take it out. A couple of turns of stalling, and Mimikyu hits a play rough to bring Flint Water to about a third of its HP as we minimize. Another turn of stall, and the next play rough misses as we get off another minimize. After another turn of stall, Mimikyu is out of play roughs and he hits Leech Life as we minimize for the last time. Mimikyu then misses a slash and we hit Poison Fang that poisons, but is then cured by its Lumberry. Now Mimikyu's disguise is broken. Mimikyu hits a slash as we hit Poison Fang that doesn't do much damage and doesn't get the poison. Mimikyu hits slash and we hit Poison Fang and our ability activates poisoning Mimikyu, putting it on a timer. Then it calls its second ally, Jellicent. We protect for a turn and then Mimikyu hits slash and Jellicent uses Spite, taking away 4 of our protects, and then it gets hit hard with Crunch that gets disabled thanks to Curse Body. We protect again and then Mimikyu somehow hits another slash as Jellicent misses Nightshade, then gets hit by Poison Fang, bringing it to low enough health that after getting badly poisoned, it's enough to take out Jellicent, which makes us level up in the process, leaving just Mimikyu now in the red. After our last turn of protect, Mimikyu refuses to miss any slashes and hits its final one, going down to Poison Fang, winning us the battle and completing the final island totem trial. After that, we're able to evolve Flint Water into Muck, and we catch Skins, the Scraggy, on Route 16, which guarantees us that we can catch a Bisharp on Route 17 we name Mulan. We have our second battle with Guzma. Like before, we block Golisopod's first impression, then proceed to stall it out with his Sucker Punches and Razor Shells. Once he's out, we switch to Flint Water and use Gunk Shock that poison and activates Golisopod's emergency exit ability. This sends out Masquerain that lowers Flint's attack with Intimidate. It hits Flint Water with a critical hit Bug Buzz that does a little over half. We then hit Gunk Shot that does well over half. We protect to get a little HP back, and then on the next turn, Bug Buzz does a bit of damage before Masquerain goes down to a Crunch. Out again is Golisopod. We block the first impression, then hit a Crunch that leaves Golisopod with a Sliver that poisons, then takes it out. Last is Pinsir. We protect to gain some HP back. Pinsir uses X-Scissor for some damage as Gunk Shot does about half and gets poisoned. We protect again, and after taking another X-Scissor, we use Venom Drench to lower Pinsir's attack, special attack, and speed. After protecting again, we switch to Midnight on the incoming Storm Throw that crits for a third of Midnight's HP. And after one more protect, Pinsir succumbs to the poison damage and faints, defeating Guzma. Next is the battle against Nanu. He sends out Sableye, and 2 crunches are enough to take it out from Flint Water. Next is Krokorok, and after protecting, we switch to Midnight, who gets hit by a Swagger. Going for Baby Doll Eyes, we hit ourselves in confusion as Krokorok hits Earthquake. We spend several turns protecting and Baby Doll Eyeing and wasting away Krokorok's Earthquakes, thankfully never hitting ourselves again. Thanks to Swagger, we eventually get to +6 attack, and Pursuit does just under half. Our next pursuit brings Krokorok to a Sliver as Crunch does a little bit of damage and gets a defense drop. On the following turn, Midnight hits himself in confusion, doing way less than anticipated. And on the next turn, Midnight snaps out of confusion and takes out Krokorok. Last out is Alolan Persian. We protect to dodge a fake out, and after many back and forths with Pursuit and Power Gem, Midnight takes out Persian, defeating Nanu. After that, we evolve Wolf Glick all the way to Incineroar, and I purposely held off Wolf Glick's evolution until 43 to get Flare Blitz early. Then we evolve Murkrow into Hanscrow with a Dust Stone. It's time for the last battle with Guzma. Of course, it's the same strategy with Golisopod. Stall out his Sucker Punches and Razor Shells, then we hit him with a Toxic and stall it until he switches out. Masquerain comes out, and I take a big gamble, and after taking a hard Bug Buzz, Midnight is able to Toxic it. We protect to rack up some poison damage, and then we switch to Flint Water, who tanks another Bug Buzz. We protect to get some HP back and then get hit by another Bug Buzz, and then Flint Water uses Venom Drench to drop the attack, special attack, and speed of Masquerain. I did this purposely so we'd have more HP going into Pinsir. After protecting for another turn, Masquerain falls to the toxic damage, and next out is Pinsir. He hits an X-Scissor for decent damage as Gunk Shock does massive damage. We protect to get some HP back and survive another X-Scissor, then take out Pinsir with a Crunch. Golisopod is back out, and we just protect to block the first impression, then we switch to Wolf Glick, who protects protects, then takes out Golisopod with the Darkest Lariat. Last out is Vikavolt, that's just a one-shot with Flare Blitz. Next is the fight with Lusamine, and her AI is unpredictable, which can be either good or bad for us. Let's just see how this goes. She leads with Clefable and we lead with Flint Water, and after protecting and getting hit by a weak Hyper Voice, Gungshot cleanly takes it out. Next out is Melodic, and we switch to Midnight, who easily takes a Dragon Pulse and then protects the next turn. We take another Dragon Pulse and hit Melodic with Toxic, and it's just a stall game from here until Melodic falls to the poison damage. Next out is Beware, and you're probably thinking, hey Zero, that's a fighting type, you should probably switch. To that I say, nay nay. I have total faith in the incompetency of Lusamine's AI that I can safely stay in. Especially after missing Tool Chop on its first try after getting hit by Baby Doll Eyes. We were able to get off another as Drain Punch does about a third of Midnight's health, but we missed Toxic. After protecting, we get hit by a weak Dual Chop as we Toxic the Beware, and now it's just a stall game again. We're able to safely stall out Beware until it falls, and we're still at full HP. Told you we could do it. Next out is Lilligant, to me her most dangerous Pokemon. She uses Teeter Dance and we hit ourselves in confusion, then she hits a nasty Pedal Dance as we break through confusion to land a Toxic, and I don't feel safe staying in, so I switch to Flintwater, who takes one easily. He takes another as we land a Venom Drench to lower Lilligant's attack, special attack, and speed. We then protect on the next turn, then switch to Wolf Glick as he easily takes a Pedal Dance. The next turn we protect and Lilligant falls. Last out is Lopunny. She hits a Dizzy Punch as we hit her with a Flare Blitz that does major damage and burns. We protect on the next turn to stall, then we switch to Al Capone, who takes a weakened Thunder Punch, and then Lopunny succumbs to the burn, taking down Lusamine. On Pony Island, we use the Island Scan to get ourselves a Greninja we named Sasuke, and yes, I masterballed that shit. Next is the Dragon Trial, Kommo-o. We lead off with Onda, and Kommo-o uses Dragon Claw for less damage than I thought, as we use Topsy-Turvy to reverse Kommo-o's stat changes. Now it has -1 in every stat. Then it calls in its partner Noivern. We switch to Flint Water and he gets hit by Screech as Dragon Claw from Kommo-o does decent damage. Boom Burst doesn't affect Kommo-o thanks to the soundproof ability and does little damage to Flint Water as Dragon Claw brings Flint Water to 56 HP. Gungshot then does massive damage, bringing Kommo-o down to 40%. We have to switch, so we go into Midnight as he gets hit by a weak Boom Burst and Dragon Claw. We protect them. Boom Burst does little damage as Midnight outspeeds Kommo-o and hits Toxic as Drain Punch does decent damage as Kommo-o heals from it. We protect to rack up some Toxic damage, then switch to Onda and she unfortunately avoids a Screech and Drain Punch does a little bit of damage. Noivern then hits Screech, greatly increasing Onda's defenses as Psycho Cut does decent damage to Noivern. Dragon Claw then tickles Onda thanks to the defense buffs. We then switch to Wolf Glick, who gets hit by a decent Air Slash and Drain Punch from Kommo-o, who heals a bit but is not enough to outlive the poison and succumbs to Toxic damage. We protect, then Wolf Glick gets hit by Screech as he U-turns into Flint Water for free as he recovers a bit of HP. Flint Water is then hit by a decent Boom Burst as Crunch takes out Noivern and wins us the fight and the trial. Next is the dreaded Ultra Necrozma fight, and I purposely saved the Focus Sash for a different fight. We lead off with Onda again and she gets rocked by a massive Dragon Pulse but survives as she uses Topsy-Turvy to reverse Ultra Necrozma's stat increases to -1. We then switch to Midnight as Dragon Pulse does well less than half. We protect for Leftovers recovery, then Dragon Pulse brings Midnight to half as we miss Toxic. We protect, then another Dragon Pulse brings Midnight to a third as Moonlight heals near full after Leftovers. After another Dragon Pulse, Midnight hits a Toxic and now it's a stall war. I bounce around Pokemon to distribute the XP until Necrozma falls. That wasn't too bad. Now it's time for the Fairy Trial against the Totem Ribombee, and its stats are raised by +2. So we lead with Onda, and thanks to her held Focus Sash, she lives a Bug Buzz, and Topsy-Turvy reverses all of Ribombee's stat changes to -2. She then calls out Pelipper. We switch to Flint Water as Pelipper hits a skull that thankfully doesn't burn, and Ribombee then tries to recover its stat changes with Quiver Dance. Ribombee then Quiver Dances again as Pelipper stockpiles, and Flint Water one-shots Ribombee with Gunk Shot. Pelipper stockpiles again as Crunch does decent damage and lowers Pelipper's defense. Pelipper then stockpiles a third time as Crunch brings it to under half. Skull then does a bit of damage and doesn't burn as Crunch gets it into the red as the rain stops. Skull does less damage thanks to the rain being gone and doesn't burn as Crunch from Flint Water takes down Pelipper, beating the trial. Next is the Grand Trial with Hapu, and I find it weird how Mudsdale is a lower level than the Totem when it should be higher, but I digress. First is Golurk, who goes down to a single skull from Sasuke, as does Mudsdale, and then Flygon outspeeds and hits an Earth Power for big damage, and Skull does over half. Earth Power then gets Sasuke in the red as Skull takes out Flygon. Last out is Gastrodon. We U-turn as we switch into Midnight as Mud Bomb does little damage, but gets an accuracy drop. We go for Toxic and land it as Gastrodon misses Muddy Water. Hapu then cheats by using a full heal as we can't stall with Protect. We switch to Flint Water as Muddy Water misses again. Mud Bomb does decent damage as Gong Shot gets Gastrodon to half. We Protect, then she misses another Mud Bomb as Crunch gets Gastrodon to the red. Hapu then heals with a Hyper Potion as Crunch gets Gastrodon back to the red. Then she misses another Mud Bomb, then Crunch takes down Gastrodon, who I think needs to make an eye doctor appointment. That's the last Grand Trial, and we are on our way to the Elite Four, baby. But first is the last fight with Gladion. He sends out Crobat first, and I send out Mulan. Acrobatics does little damage as Metaclaw does decent damage and gets an attack boost, then both taking hail damage, canceling out Mulan's leftovers. Acrobatics gets Mulan close to about half as Night Slash takes down Crobat. Next out is Lucario. We switch to Flint Water as he takes little damage from Aura Sphere. Another Aura Sphere gets Flint Water to about half as we use Infestation on Lucario, trapping it, and now he's taking hail damage and Infestation damage. We Protect to let hail damage and Infestation damage stack up. Aura Sphere then gets Flint Water to about a quarter health as Crunch brings Lucario to about the same and in the red after hail and Infestation damage. We Protect and watch Lucario succumb to the hail and Infestation damage. Next out is Zoroark disguised as Savali, so I send in Wolf Click on a Hyper Voice. He then takes a critical hit Hyper Voice that does major damage, but then Wolf Click proves the world champ difference by critting U-turn and taking out Zoroark. We send out Midnight, and last out is Savali. We Protect on the first turn, then Baby Doll Eyes Savali using X Scissor that does little damage. We Protect again, then after taking another X Scissor, we hit Savali with Toxic. And from here, it's just toy with Savali until it collapses from the Toxic damage, and that's the last Gladion fight defeated. We get our final encounter of the run, a Sneasel we name Ice Ice Baby, and find a Razor Claw on a wild Jangmo-o, and we evolve Ice Ice Baby into Weavile. Now it's time for the Elite Four. I decided to take on Mullane first and employ the common Malamar strategy, Chesto Resto Superpower. Out first is Klefki, and it sets up a Reflect, and Superpower does little damage, but it's about to rack up. Klefki uses Spikes as Superpower gets it to about 60%. Flash Cannon does about a quarter health as Superpower gets Klefki to about a quarter of its health. Another Flash Cannon gets Anda to just under half health as Superpower takes out Klefki, and next out is Bisharp. But even after Reflect, a 4x4 Superpower easily KOs it and Reflect ends. Next out is Metagross, and I decide to rest, and we wake up with a Chesto Berry as Meteor Mash does little damage, then a +5 Night Slash easily takes out my favorite Pseudo Legendary. Next is a Alolan Doug Trio, and its Earthquake tickles Anda as a Superpower takes out the ugly Three Stooges as the Tangled Hair ability actually increases the speed of Anda. Last out is Magnezone, and the Superpower activates Sturdy as Thunderbolt gets Anda to about a quarter health. Then after a couple full restores, Night Slash takes out Magnezone, defeating Mullane. Next is Olivia. She starts with Armaldo, and we lead with Sasuke. Expert Belt boosted Scald takes out Armaldo, and next out is Credilli as Ice Beam takes Credilli under half. Then it lowers our speed with Rock Tomb, then another Ice Beam takes out Credilli. Next out is Lycanroc, and as I know a Stone Edge is incoming, so I switch to Midnight as a Stone Edge does a little bit of damage. We Protect, then a Continental Crush tickles Midnight. We whittle down Lycanroc's attack to -6, then we switch Sasuke back in, then Lycanroc goes down to a single Scald, and next out is Gigalith. We U-turn into Midnight as he's hit with a Bulldoze, and we Protect to stall out a turn of Sandstorm. Then we Baby Doll Eyes as Bulldoze does little damage, then we do it again as Stone Edge hardly hurts Midnight, then we Protect to stall out the last turn of Sandstorm. We then switch back into Sasuke as he takes decent damage from Stone Edge, then his Scald takes out Gigalith, and last out is Probopass. Scald does big damage as Probopass uses Thunder Wave to paralyze Sasuke, but then he breaks through on the next turn, taking out Probopass and beating Olivia. Next is Kahili. Out first is her Braviary, and Ice Punch from Ice Ice Baby is a one-shot thanks to Expert Belt. Next out is Hawlucha, who suffers the same fate. Next is her Ace Toucannon. We switch to Midnight as he takes heavy damage from a Supersonic Sky Strike. Then because Beak Blast charges, we can Moonlight up for free, then take a bit of damage. Then Baby Doll Eyes to drop Toucannon's attack. After protecting again, we Baby Doll Eyes as Toucannon uses Screech to drop Midnight's defense harshly, so a crit would definitely kill. We switch to Anda on a weak Beak Blast. Then I realized I never refilled superpowers, so as I use the last one to raise Anda's defense and attack, we get burned from Beak Blast. We rest, and then after a couple of turns, we wake up and hit a Night Slash to almost take out Toucannon, but getting burned again. We rest again and Beak Blast only does a little bit of damage. Toucannon then raises Onda's defense sharply with Screech, making Beak Blast do even less on the next turn. We wake up to take Toucannon out with Night Slash and getting burned again in the process. Last out is Oricorio. We switch to Flint Water as he gets confused from Teeter Dance. Then Oricorio uses Feather Dance to lower Flint Water's attack harshly as we hits a weak crunch that does get the poison. Kahili uses a full heal as we use an Infestation as she takes residual damage from Infestation damage. Flint Water then dodges an Air Slash as Crunch does a little bit of damage to Oricorio and takes it to the red as poison damage and Infestation damage takes out the Firebird, beating Kahili. Last is Acerola. Her Bayonet hits Screech on Flint Water, lowering his defense harshly as Crunch takes it out. Next out is Palossand. Crunch does big damage as does Earth Power. We protect, then switch to Sasuke on a strong Earth Power, then take out Palossand with Scald. Next out is Delmise, and we U-turn into Flint Water on an Energy Ball. We protect, then Slam misses as Crunch does massive damage. Slam then connects as Crunch takes out Delmise. Next out is Frostlass. We block the Confused Ray, then on the next turn we get confused but break through it to land a Crunch that takes out Frostlass. Last is Drifblim. We protect, then Drifblim sets up Focus Energy as Crunch does huge damage, then gets a defense drop. We unfortunately hit ourselves in confusion and take an Ominous Wind for a little bit of damage. On the next turn, Ominous Wind does a little bit of damage as Crunch takes down Drifblim, and Aftermath can't take down Flint Water, beating Acerola and defeating the entire Elite Four. Last is the fight with How. He sends out Alolan Raichu, and we send out Flint Water, and after taking a Thunderbolt that does about a third of its health, Crunch takes it out in one hit. Next out is Tauros, and our attack is down from Intimidate, so after protecting, we switch to Midnight on a weak Earthquake that does little damage. We get Tauros all the way down to -6, then switch to Onda on a weak Double Edge, and after taking another, we take out Tauros with Superpower, increasing our attack and defense. Next out is Vaporeon, and Hydro Pump does massive damage, as does Superpower. We then switch to Midnight, who takes our critical hit Hydro Pump well and blocks Charm with Protect. After stalling out Hydro Pumps, we try to Toxic Vaporeon, which gets healed twice from full restores, but not after getting Vaporeon down to -6 as we switch to Onda on the second full restore. From there, Vaporeon uses Baby Doll Eyes on Onda as he falls asleep from rest. Vaporeon Baby Doll Eyes is on the first turn of sleep, then Charm on the second, and then Baby Doll Eyes is on the last turn as we wake up and hit a superpower that gets it to +6 and +1 defense, taking out Vaporeon. Out next is Crabominable, and it hits a weak Power-Up Punch as Superpower obliterates it, increasing our defense again. Decidueye comes out next, and Bloom Doom does only about half as Night Slash cleanly KOs it. Last out is Noivern, and we switch to Ice Ice Baby on a strong Dragon Pulse. We outspeed, and with a 4 times effective Ice Punch, Ice Ice Baby takes out Noivern, beating How and winning us the run and getting into the Hall of Fame. That was a really long run and took me a while to do, but I did have fun in the process. The insane amount of dialogue and cutscenes makes this an even more challenging run than it already is. 4 deaths is a lot less than I expected to walk away with, and I'm really happy at how I played. For the most part. I'm glad I got to use Umbreon and just cheese fights with its insane bulk and trickery, and Flint Water was an absolute unit all the way. Murkrow was very useful early on, but then Honchkrow just got outclassed as the game went on. But with that, I think it's time for a really fun one. Violet with only Oricorio. I expect this one to be quite the challenge, all things considered. But thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you can, like the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. See ya. Wait, didn't we have a pseudo legendary in the box that we never used? Nah, I guess I'm just imagining things.